Welcome to another edition of Steps Beyond Time. This is really a series of talks with Reverend Betty Tatalajski, the founder of the Temple of Universality here in Tucson, Arizona. Now, as a preface to that, I have been around the world, a couple of times at least. I was on the Great Wall of China. I've been in Machu Picchu. I've been in Paris. I've been in all these different places. And yet I can say with absolute truth, Reverend Betty Tatalajski tops them all. Here she is, without further ado.
Hello, friends. It's always so good to be with you, either at the temple or at the show. And I'm just celebrating. You know, sometimes you just have an attitude of gratitude that makes you wonder why you whined so much.
I remember why I whined so
whining,
much.
God, just whining, you know.
It felt horrible,
And my
Betty.
daddy would say, "What you whining about?" You know.
That's right.
Well, I don't know, but I'm not happy.
Your dad gave me some insight into your father.
Yeah. And of course, there were 9 of us, 6 girls, and he says these girls were always whining about something, you know. Anyway, I don't whine anymore, just celebrate. Attitude of gratitude determines your latitude on that ladder of what we call self-realization. So I try to stay on that ladder. Sometimes I get up pretty high and then I fall right back down. But it's the climb, isn't it? As we say, that just be grateful and things will get better. Be depressed and assuredly they will get worse, you know. We think, oh, things couldn't get worse. They can.
They can be.
Oh, yes, they can.
They can.
But I just want to celebrate. You know, there are so many people that I want to celebrate. And I always say this one's on top of my list. The one that I am obsessing with at the time is always the top of my list. It could be you. I've got friends here in Tucson that I just celebrate. And sometimes they don't know it, and sometimes I have to call them up and tell them, you know, I'm celebrating you, because I'm surrounded by these angels, you know. But today it's Václav Havel. He's been a hero of mine since he was in prison, you know, there in Prague. But, you know, this obsession really started in 2003 when we started the Middle East Peace Initiative, and we started in Rome. We were there over close to a week. We were there at the Colosseum, and we were there at the prisons, you know, where Peter and Paul were. Now, I don't know what other folks at the Women in Ministry and American Clergy Leadership, you know, they were doing their own prayers. But I'm telling those folks, you know, in the catacombs, you know, since I know there's no death, and a lot of them are still trapped in there, you know, and they think they should be dead, but they're not, and they don't know where to go. And so I'm there to tell them, you know. So I told them, you know, come to Israel with us, come to Jerusalem. We're going to start working on a Middle East peace initiative, and you all are heroes. And so come with us. So before I left for that trip in May 2003, that first one, my teacher told me, Betty, now as soon as you get back, because we were due back on the 19th of May, now as soon as you get back, we want you to go over to Czech Republic and stop the flooding in the Charles River. You know,
This is what she hears.
that's what they told me.
Yeah, that's what they told you.
And so I thought, well, that sounds great. Now, I'm going to have him tell you how we do this, okay? go to Prague and build a golden pyramid and to stop the flooding so that the ascended masters of light. Remember, Jesus said, ask and it shall be given. People forget that phrase, ask. Well, Saint Germain didn't forget because he said, go over there, build the pyramid, and ask us to stop the flooding, okay? We cannot do it because we're not on the earth plane. We have to be asked, okay? So,
this is, I want to interject something here.
This is cosmic law.
This is cosmic law. I mean, we think, we're sitting here and we're on, like, to use an old metaphor, a true old metaphor, the veil. We are on one side of the veil. And everything we see on the other side of the veil is real to us. It's three-dimensional. There's people, it's got history, it's got stories, it's got situations. On the other side of the veil, which I call off stage, all right, basically off stage, which other people call death.
A lot of people call heaven too.
Yeah, heaven. But it's on the other side.
Yeah.
What is absolutely stunning about this, Betty, and it just never has failed to just really get to how critical this is to creation itself, is free will. That the source, the creator of all, has given each one of us the free will.
Totally.
Total free will.
Totally.
Now, to show how great that spirit is, look at what we've done with it.
Wars in every country.
Killing, terror. We basically turned the dream, the cosmic dream, into a living nightmare. Now, on the other side of the veil, they know it's not true. All right?
Yeah.
On the other side of the veil, they know it's love, compassion, expansion. All right? And that's why we've had teachers such as Socrates tell us in the metaphor of the cave. We've had the Vedanta, we've had the Hindus use the word Maya, illusion, to describe what we have here. All right? Now, when Betty is telling this story about being told, this girl's got an open voice speakerphone with the spirit world, all right? And it told her that after you go to the Middle East, Betty, we'd like you to go to Prague because there's flooding in the Charles River and we'd like to help you end it. We'd like to have you end it. Now, what Betty said right before I started on this, quote, explanation, is that on the other side of the veil, the saints, God, consciousness itself, does not interfere here.
No.
Does not. That's one of the cosmic laws. Now, we ask, help us, interfere with us, all right? But basically, we have an underlying agenda about what that help is supposed to look like.
That's right.
About what the solution is supposed to be. And let me tell you, the prayers of the Republicans and the Democrats are totally opposite, all right? And the prayers of the Muslims and the Christians are totally the opposite. All right? And even the unspoken prayers of the atheists are very opposite. Their prayer is, God, stop those people from cramming that religion on this horrible planet. All right? Now, on the other side, where it is exactly where we're going to be, and
Where
part
we-
of us,
and where we came from.
and where we came, and part of us is still there right now, Betty.
Yes.
Part of us is still on the other side. They cannot interfere on this side of the veil. It is cosmic law.
Right.
All right? Now, all those great spirits of light have been here manifesting what it's like on the other side, and we look at them and go, what? All right? And we either string them up, crucify them, or change the story later to suit our own purposes. But when Betty was told that she should go to Prague after this visit in the Middle East because they need to do something, they want to do something about the river, and because Betty is open, because she's got her speakerphone on play, they told her to do this. Now, how they told her to do this, and Betty said, it's what we call the Golden Pyramid. And this is one of the foundations of the Temple of Universality. All right?
Which we did last night.
Which we did last night. And basically, building the Golden Pyramid is you go up through each one of the chakras under the guidance of ascended masters and the archangels and open yourself up to the light, which is on the other side of the veil. What it really is the building of a portal through the other side to here. Now, because Betty has her portal open, because he has her speakerphone on play, they're able to talk to her. All right. And Betty says these things. Well, there I was in Rome, and they said, Betty, when you get back here, we'd like you to go to Prague and help in the river.
Immediately go
Immediately. Prague
to
and,
Prague.
and end this flood.
So I go. It's my birthday, June 1.
Okay.
I'm in Prague.
Okay.
And my sister with me, and we have our grandsons with us. They're teenagers. And two of our friends, one from Denmark and another from Norway, met us because they knew we were going to spend the next couple of weeks in Eastern Europe. And
On one of the most beautiful cities on the planet.
absolutely. Sofia, Bulgaria, all of them. I love Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
But anyway, go and build a pyramid to stop the flooding because Saint Germain told me that Prague is the second most holy site on the planet.
Really?
He said Rome is first and Prague is second.
Okay.
That the treasures, the architecture, the spirit of Prague is second most holy. Now, I was delighted to go because Václav Havel has been a hero of mine since I heard of him. And that was when he was in prison. He was in prison for a long time.
The communists went there first, didn't
Well, I think it was the Germans.
Okay.
The Germans.
Troublemaker, big time. For those in authority, Václav Havel, who was basically
Just a guy.
a guy.
Just a guy.
But he wanted freedom for everybody.
For everybody.
Now, most of us want that freedom for ourselves.
us.
The difference is Václav Havel wanted it for his people.
Yes. And so, of course, he was thrown into the prison right away. But the difference between him and those others that added up to many thousands in the prison where he was, and, they were doing full time, 8 hours a day, I'm sure, killing those prisoners there. And the thing that really connects me at the heart with Václav Havel is something that Spirit says to me all the time and reminds me and tells us all. In all things, keep an even mind. Most important dictum law there is. In all things, keep an even mind, because how are you going to keep an even mind when you have children that are sick, when you don't have a place under, you're not under roof, when you don't have a job, when you're told today, don't come back to work tomorrow because the factory is closing and 1,000 people are out of a job. How do you individually keep an even mind, let alone with 1,000 people? We're going to mostly play Ain't It Awful, and we might go to the bar and decide let's all get drunk. I mean, maybe that will help. It really doesn't, but that's a very human response. So here's Václav Havel in this prison where they're just killing him as fast as they can. And Václav Havel was different. He wasn't a politician, but he was a writer. He wrote some unsuccessful plays and things. But anyway, he wrote. And anytime he found a scrap of paper, which they certainly worked very hard to keep him from getting, he would write a little joke and see that it got outside.
A joke.
And so here he is, looking out the window, seeing this bunch killed, da-da-da-da.
And he's sending jokes out.
Yeah, and
That's wonderful.
and they're thrilled, they're, of course, threatening with everything, but somehow, with God on his side, now,
That's amazing.
he wasn't preaching over there.
No.
who knows who knew and who knows what he was thinking about
in there.
but
He was
had-
sending jokes out.
yes,
Humor.
and
Wow.
they would get him and put him back in, but they did not kill him because Spirit said we were able to protect him because we told everybody in every situation, keep an even mind, and he
Does it?
And it saved his life. And so people were happy, you know, to elect him as the first president of the Czech Republic for this way of living. And he's certainly been, as I say, a hero of mine because he kept an even mind. Now, first of all, when we think about where he was and what was going on in Prague and all of Eastern Europe
at the time,
and the great Jewish people there, it was a large community of Jews in a most sacred place and the most established and most sincere center for the great Kabbalah in the world was there in Prague. So there were one of the signs that I saw at a little destroyed cemetery, Jewish cemetery in Prague, just mentioned that 450,000 Jews were sent to the death camps. And that was only a beginning, friends. In everything, keep an even mind. So, you know, at our nation's anniversary, shortly after he got out of prison, they invited him to Philadelphia to Independence Hall, and he made a speech on, in everything, keep an even mind, and don't be so quick to judge your neighbors or to go to war. Okay? Now, we know he must have been a superhero to inherently know this, because there were not people around there telling him, honey, well, just keep an even,
That's right.
keep your spirit up.
Hey, Vaucliffe, just put a smile on that face today.
Yeah, but he did it.
He did it.
And so I went to do the pyramid, and the first day, and I'm in the hotel, and I can't do it. I'm just sitting in the middle of the bed, you know, and the room is so loud, okay? Not by any voices that you would hear, but when I am going into meditation, there's chatter in there, mundane chatter in the spirit world, which means I wasn't high enough
to get above
in my consciousness to get above this chatter. And I couldn't do it, okay? So I felt bad. I mean, that's what I was there for. And so, boy, Zippo, I'm going to do this, you know. And it didn't happen. So the next day, we're touring downtown and walking over the Charles River, which is flooding. And the desperation was that in most places, when you go to a building, there are steps up, right? Well, in Prague, this ancient city, they're down. The doors are here, and they go down into what we would call the cellar part. But that's how they were done. Yeah. And Spirit said that architecture of, you know, was incredible, okay? It was. But it was just flooding these incredibly antique and
treasures,
spiritual places.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm wading across the Charles River because it's flat with a street, okay? But it has all of these like 10-foot statues that are so beautiful that I just couldn't, I was mesmerized. And of course my sister was with me, and so we lost our people that we were with, because, so there are the two of us. And I says, well, this is an omen. This means I'm supposed to go back and build the pyramid, okay? And so we do. We go back to the place, and it's cleared. Spirit has cleared the room for me. I can go through. So I'm sitting there for a couple of hours probably. It takes a half hour to build a pyramid, but I was so afraid, you know.
Doing it, you had to do it right this time.
The flood wouldn't stop, you know, with my, you know.
And it's only you that's in that room.
You know,
Yeah.
it's only me, okay,
Yeah.
but this is the clincher, okay? It was only me, but at the end of it, and I kept doing it, and Inga Mason walked into the room.
Oh.
Our friend in Tucson, who was here in Tucson
At the time.
at the time.
But doing the pyramid, Golden Pyramid, in this hotel room in Prague, Inga comes in.
She comes in and she says, Betty, we got it. That's enough. I told her about it when I came home.
Enough already, Betty. You did it.
You did
You
it.
did it.
You know,
That's-
enough already,
Yeah.
okay? So, anyway,
that's wonderful.
I love Prague. This is the Infant of Prague. One of the pictures that we see of the young Jesus, very popular there, along with the Kabbalah, with the Jewish spirit of the Czech Republic. And this is a wonderful memory of the Infant of Prague. There was a golub. Now,
Really?
for some people, that'll be a new word, G-O-L-U-B, golub. So if you're a student or interested in the Kabbalah, there were some incredible, fantastic Jewish Kabbalists at that time who really created a golub. Now, you might have to look it up on your computer, what a golub is, but there was one that had been built, okay? Well, a statue of one, because a golub is alive, okay? And it's on the corner there, about a block from the Charles River in downtown Prague. A golub. Wow.
How'd you know it?
Well, I knew what it was,
Yeah.
but my grandson said, the next day we're down there, and somebody walks by, a group of people walk by, and they see this on the corner of the building up here, and they said, what is that? And my grandson said, that's a golub. I said, well, honey, how do you know? He says, because yesterday when we were here, somebody said it was a golub. And he
Out of the mouths of babes.
He said, so I looked it up on the
The
computer,
computer.
and I know what it
Look
is.
at this.
Because he was
Wow.
carrying his
Yes.
computer
Wow.
around Europe.
Wow.
So anyway, it's really incredible, isn't it? But Václav Havel, I think we have a minute. I want you to read some of his words. Take them to heart because he's here.
Václav Havel, this shows how he was able to keep an even mind, to be able to say these words. This is from a talk he gave on July 4th, 1996 in Philadelphia. As we celebrate America's birthday and appreciate our freedoms, we are stirred by the wisdom of Václav Havel. This is his words. I turn my thoughts today to the state of the world and the prospects that lie before it. I see an expression of a multicultural era. I see it as proof that something is being born, when one age is succeeding another, when everything is possible. The single planetary civilization to which we all belong confronts us with global challenges. We are rightly concerned by the problem of finding the key to ensure the civilization of the world. It seems that man can realize that liberty